My stepfather built a tech company worth billions. When he died, his half should have been mine. But his business partner showed me a document, a buy-sell agreement signed 3 days before my stepfather's death, that gave him the right to buy my shares for $10 million. The company was about to go public. Those shares were worth $5 billion. My name is Jade Chen, and this is the story of how fighting for my inheritance uncovered two killers, exposed a corporate conspiracy, and revealed that the person I thought was my enemy was actually the only ally I had. My stepfather, David Reeves, died on a Monday morning in his office at NexTech Solutions. Brain aneurysm, sudden and fatal. He was 52 years old. I got the call from my mother, Lisa, while I was at my apartment in San Francisco finishing my MBA thesis. Jade, something terrible has happened. David collapsed at work. He's gone. David had been in my life for 8 years since I was 17. He'd married my mother when I was about to start college, helped pay my tuition, treated me like his own daughter even though I wasn't. He was brilliant, driven, and one of the kindest people I'd ever known. He'd co-founded NexTech with his best friend and business partner, Aaron Mitchell, 15 years ago. They'd built it from a 2-person startup in Aaron's garage into a cutting-edge AI company with 2,000 employees and contracts with every major tech firm in Silicon Valley. The company was about to go public. Their IPO was scheduled for 6 weeks from now. Analysts were predicting NexTech would be valued at $10 billion, making David's 50% stake worth $5 billion. And according to his will, which I'd seen just a year ago, David's shares were supposed to go to me. The funeral was held 4 days later at a private venue in Palo Alto. Hundreds of people attended. Tech executives, venture capitalists, employees, friends. Aaron Mitchell gave a eulogy. He was 49, tall with graying hair and the exhausted look of someone who'd worked too many 18-hour days. He and David had been inseparable for 15 years. Best friends, business partners, the kind of partnership that tech journalists called the next Jobs and Wozniak. David wasn't just my business partner, Aaron said, his voice breaking. He was my brother. We built NexTech together from nothing. Every line of code, every pitch to investors, every all-nighter debugging our first product, we did it together. I don't know how to do this without him. People were crying. My mother was crying. Even I felt tears despite everything. After the service, Aaron approached me. Jade, I'm so sorry. David loved you so much. He talked about you constantly, how proud he was of your work, how brilliant you are. Thank you, Aaron. We need to talk about the company, about David's shares. Can you come to my office tomorrow? Of course. The next morning, I drove to NexTech's headquarters in Mountain View. The building was sleek glass and steel, with the company's logo, a stylized neural network, prominently displayed. Aaron's office overlooked the main development floor where dozens of engineers were working. He looked even more tired than he had at the funeral. Coffee? He offered. Please. He poured 2 cups from an expensive espresso machine. Jade, I need to show you something. It's about David's shares in the company. He pulled out a document and slid it across his desk. This is a buy-sell agreement. David and I signed it 2 years ago when we started planning the IPO. I skimmed the document. It was dense legal language, but the key point was clear. If either partner died, the surviving partner had the right to purchase the deceased partner's shares at a predetermined price. What's the price? I asked. $10 million. I looked up sharply. 10 million? The company's about to be valued at 10 billion. David's half is worth 5 billion. You're saying you can buy it for 10 million? The buy-sell agreement was signed when the company was worth much less. We put in that clause to ensure that if one of us died, the other could maintain control without outside interference. We never updated it as the company grew. That's insane. You're trying to steal $5 billion from my family for 10 million? Jade, I know how it sounds, but this is a legal contract. David signed it. He understood what it meant. 2 years ago, before anyone knew the company would be worth this much. Aaron rubbed his face. Look, I understand you're upset, but the IPO is in 6 weeks. I need to have complete control of the company to make that happen. If David's shares go to you and your mother, it creates uncertainty. Investors get nervous. The IPO could fall apart. So your solution is to steal our inheritance? I'm not stealing anything. I'm following a legal agreement. Then I'll contest it. I'll sue. I'll do whatever it takes to stop this. Aaron looked pained. Jade, please, David was my best friend. I don't want to fight you, but I have 2,000 employees depending on this IPO. I have investors who've put in hundreds of millions. I can't let this fall apart because of a family dispute. This isn't a family dispute. This is theft. Then take me to court. But Jade, I have lawyers, good lawyers, and that buy-sell agreement is ironclad. You'll spend millions fighting me and lose. Meanwhile, the IPO will be delayed, the company's value will plummet, and everyone loses. I stood up. We'll see about that. I hired a lawyer that afternoon, Michael Torres, a specialist in corporate law and shareholder disputes. The buy-sell agreement is legal, Michael said after reviewing the document. And these types of agreements are common in closely held companies. The problem is the valuation. $10 million for $5 billion in shares is absurdly low. Can we challenge it? We can argue that the agreement is unconscionable, so one-sided that no reasonable person would have agreed to it. But there's a problem. The agreement was updated and re-signed 7 days ago. I felt cold. What? Michael showed me the signature page. See the date? This isn't the 2-year-old agreement Aaron showed you. This is a modified version signed 1 week before David died. It maintains the $10 million price but adds new language making it specifically enforceable regardless of changes in company valuation. My stepfather wouldn't have signed this, not a week before he died. Not when he knew how valuable the company was about to become. Can you prove he didn't sign it? I don't know. But Aaron lied to me. He said the agreement was 2 years old. Why lie unless he has something to hide? That's a good question. Jade, I think we need to investigate this more carefully. Something about this doesn't add up. I started digging into David's final weeks. Phone records, emails, calendar appointments, anything that might explain why he'd sign away $5 billion. What I found was strange. In the 3 weeks before he died, David had been acting erratically. He'd missed important meetings. He'd made mistakes in presentations, unusual for someone as meticulous as David. He'd seemed distracted, forgetful, not himself. Did you notice anything different about David before he died? I asked my mother. Mom looked uncomfortable. He was stressed. The IPO was weighing on him, and he'd been having headaches, vision problems. I told him to see a doctor, but he said he was too busy. Headaches and vision problems? For how long? About a month. Why? Because those are symptoms of a lot of things, including poisoning. Mom went pale. Jade, what are you suggesting? I'm suggesting Dad's death might not have been natural. An aneurysm can be caused by high blood pressure, certain drugs, or toxins. If someone wanted to kill him and make it look natural, that would be a perfect method. Who would want to kill David? Someone who benefits from his death, like Aaron, who just got control of a $10 billion company for $10 million. Aaron was David's best friend. They built that company together. For $5 billion, people betray their best friends all the time. I hired a private investigator, Sarah Kim, a former FBI agent who specialized in corporate fraud. I need you to investigate Aaron Mitchell, I told her. Find out if he had motive and opportunity to kill my stepfather. Sarah spent 2 weeks following Aaron, reviewing his finances, talking to NexTech employees. What she found was damning. Aaron was desperate, Sarah told me when we met at a coffee shop. He'd been borrowing money heavily, personal loans, credit lines, even loans against his house. He was in debt for about $3 million. Why? He owns half of a company worth $10 billion. Because his shares were tied up until the IPO. He couldn't access that wealth until the company went public. And he had expenses, alimony to his ex-wife, child support, a gambling problem he's been hiding from everyone. He needed cash immediately. So, killing David and buying his shares for $10 million would give him control of the company and the ability to complete the IPO? Exactly. As sole owner, he could force through the IPO, cash out, pay his debts, and walk away with billions. With David alive and you inheriting, there would be complications, delays, maybe even a power struggle. Aaron couldn't afford that. Can we prove he killed David? Not directly, but there's something else. The buy-sell agreement? It was witnessed by Aaron's personal attorney and the company's CFO, both of whom report to Aaron. That's suspicious. Why not use an independent witness? Because they'd lie if Aaron asked them to? Maybe. Or maybe the signature's forged and they're covering for him. I contacted a forensic document examiner, Dr. Patricia Lee, who'd testified in high-profile fraud cases. I need you to examine my stepfather's signature on this buy-sell agreement, I said, showing her the document. I think it might be forged. Dr. Lee studied the signature under magnification, compared it to other examples of David's writing, ran computer analysis. 3 days later, she called me. The signature is real. What? Are you sure? Absolutely. It's David Reeves' signature. Same pen pressure, same flow, same micro movements. Either he signed it, or someone created a perfect forgery using technology that doesn't exist yet. Then how? But there's something interesting. The document shows signs of being modified after signing. See these ink inconsistencies? The signature page was likely scanned from a different document, something David did sign, and inserted into this agreement. So the signature is real, but it wasn't signed on this document? Correct. Someone created a Frankenstein contract. They took David's real signature from something else, maybe an old version of the agreement, and digitally placed it onto this modified version. That's fraud. Yes, but proving it in court is tricky. The signature itself is authentic. You'd need to prove the document was altered, which requires access to the original files, which Aaron controls. Exactly. I decided to confront Aaron directly. I scheduled a meeting at NexTech under the pretense of discussing next steps. Aaron's office looked even more chaotic than before. Papers everywhere, empty coffee cups, the look of someone running on no sleep. Jade, thank you for coming. I was hoping we could work something out. Maybe I could offer you more than 10 million, say 50 million? That's still far less than the shares are worth, but it's more generous than the agreement requires. 50 million for 5 billion? You're still trying to rob me, just slightly less. I'm trying to be fair while also protecting the company. Aaron, I know about your debts, your gambling, your desperate need for money. I know you had motive to want David dead. Aaron's face went white. What are you implying? I'm implying that my stepfather's death was convenient for you. Very convenient. And I'm implying that the buy-sell agreement was modified after he signed it. That's insane. I had the document analyzed. The signature is real, but it was digitally inserted into a modified contract. You created a fake agreement and used David's real signature from something else to make it look legitimate. Aaron stood up, his hands shaking. Jade, you have no idea what you're talking about. Yes, I have debts. Yes, I need money. But I didn't kill David, and I didn't forge that document. Then who did? I don't know. But someone is setting me up. Someone wants you to think I killed David so you won't look for the real killer. Why should I believe you? Aaron pulled out his phone and showed me a video. It was security footage from NexTech's parking garage, time-stamped the morning David died. The video showed David arriving at work, walking toward the building, and then it showed someone else, a woman with dark hair, approach him, hand him a coffee cup, talk to him for a moment. Who is that? I asked. I don't know, but she's not an employee. I checked. And look at the timestamp. This is 30 minutes before David collapsed. What if she gave him something? Poison, drugs, something that caused the aneurysm. Why are you showing me this? Because I'm not your enemy, Jade. Yes, I want those shares. Yes, I'm in debt. But I didn't kill David. Someone else did. And they're letting me take the blame while they steal everything. I studied the video. The woman's face wasn't clear, but there was something familiar about her body language. I need a copy of this footage. Take it, and Jade, we need to work together. Someone murdered my best friend. Someone is framing me. Someone is trying to steal this company. We need to find out who. I took the video to Sarah Kim. Can you identify this woman? Sarah enhanced the footage, ran it through facial recognition software, cross-referenced it with employees and vendors. Her name is Nicole Hartley, Sarah said. She's not associated with NexTech directly, but she's been seen with David multiple times over the past 6 months. Coffee meetings, lunch, once at a hotel in San Jose. You think she was having an affair with my stepfather? It's possible. Or she could be a business associate, but the hotel suggests personal, not professional. I felt sick. My mother didn't deserve this. And if David had been having an affair, it complicated everything. I need to talk to her. Sarah found Nicole's address, a high-end apartment in Palo Alto. I drove there that afternoon, my heart pounding. Nicole answered the door. She was in her mid-30s, attractive, wearing expensive workout clothes. Can I help you? She asked. My name is Jade Chen. David Reeves was my stepfather. Her expression flickered. I heard about David's death. I'm very sorry. Were you having an affair with him? Nicole's mask cracked. I think you should leave. I have video of you giving David something the morning he died. A coffee cup. What was in it? Nothing. I mean, it was just coffee. David and I were friends. Friends who met at hotels? Nicole's face flushed. Fine. Yes, we were seeing each other, but it wasn't serious. David loved your mother. It was complicated. And you gave him coffee the morning he died? Yes, his favorite, a vanilla latte from Blue Bottle. We had our usual Monday morning chat. Then he went into the building and I left. I had no idea that he would die. What did you talk about? Nicole hesitated. He was ending it, our relationship. He said he felt guilty about your mother, about keeping secrets. He said he couldn't do it anymore. How did you react? I was upset, but I understood. I knew from the beginning that David wouldn't leave his family. I accepted that. Upset enough to poison him? What? No, I didn't poison anyone. I loved David. Then explain why he died 30 minutes after drinking coffee you gave him. I can't. I don't know. But I didn't kill him, I swear. That coffee was just coffee. Nothing added, nothing wrong with it. I stared at her, trying to gauge if she was lying. She seemed genuinely shaken, but people lie convincingly all the time. Did David ever talk to you about the business? About the IPO? Sometimes. He was stressed about it. There were problems with some of the code, concerns about whether they'd meet the deadline. Aaron was pushing hard to stay on schedule. Did he mention the buy-sell agreement? No. Why would he? Because someone forged a new version of it days before he died. Someone who wanted to make sure Aaron could buy David's shares for almost nothing. Nicole's eyes widened. You think Aaron killed David? To get the company? I think someone did. And right now, you and Aaron are the main suspects. I reported what I'd found to the police. Detective James Morrison, a veteran investigator with the Palo Alto PD, agreed to reopen the investigation into David's death. Brain aneurysms can be spontaneous, Morrison said, but they can also be caused by drugs, toxins, or trauma. We'll exhume the body, run a full toxicology screen, see what we find. The results came back 2 weeks later. David had elevated levels of phenylpropanolamine in his system, Morrison told me. It's a stimulant that used to be in cold medications. In high doses, it can cause hypertension and increase the risk of stroke or aneurysm. Was he taking cold medicine? Not according to your mother, but someone could have been giving it to him without his knowledge. Mixed into food or drinks over time, it would cause symptoms like headaches and vision problems, then eventually trigger a fatal aneurysm. The coffee, I said. Nicole gave him coffee that morning. What if she'd been dosing him with phenylpropanolamine for weeks? That's a theory, but we'd need proof. Does Nicole have a motive? David was breaking up with her. Maybe she was angry enough to kill him. Anger is a motive, but killing someone doesn't get her the inheritance or the company shares. Who benefits from David's death? Aaron and Nicole, if she was working with Aaron. Morrison nodded. We'll bring them both in for questioning, but Jade, you need to be careful. If they killed once, they might kill again to protect themselves. The police questioned Aaron and Nicole separately. Both denied any involvement in David's death. Both had alibis for the times when David might have been poisoned. Aaron was at work, Nicole had yoga classes and coffee dates. But Morrison found something interesting when he reviewed NexTech's security footage. There's a gap, he told me. The footage from the week before David died? It's been edited. Someone deleted several hours from multiple cameras. Deleted what? I don't know, but it suggests someone was at NexTech doing something they didn't want recorded. Who has access to delete security footage? According to the IT department, only 3 people: David, Aaron, and the head of security. But the logs show the deletion happened from David's computer. Someone used David's computer to cover their tracks. Exactly. And if David was already showing symptoms of poisoning, he might not have noticed someone using his computer without permission. I went back to NexTech and demanded access to David's office. Aaron had locked it after the death, said it was too painful to go through David's things yet. I brought a locksmith and a lawyer. Aaron couldn't legally keep me out. Inside, I found David's office mostly intact. His computer was gone. Aaron had taken it, claiming it had company information that needed to be secured. But I found something else. A hidden compartment in David's desk, triggered by pressing a specific combination of buttons. Inside was a file labeled Nicole Evidence. The file contained printouts of text messages between Nicole and someone named AM, Aaron Mitchell. Nicole, did you talk to David about the agreement? AM, he won't sign, says the valuation is wrong. Nicole, then we proceed with Plan B. I'll handle it. AM, are you sure? This is risky. Nicole, you want the company or not? I do this, you do the agreement, everyone wins. AM, except David. Nicole, David made his choice when he wouldn't leave his wife. He doesn't get to have both. The messages were dated 2 weeks before David died. I took the messages to Detective Morrison immediately. This is evidence of conspiracy to commit murder, Morrison said. Nicole and Aaron were working together. She poisoned David, he forged the buy-sell agreement. They planned the whole thing. But why? What does Nicole get out of it? Morrison pulled up Nicole's background. Nicole Hartley isn't her real name. She's actually Nicole Mitchell, Aaron's ex-wife. I felt like I'd been punched. His ex-wife? They divorced 5 years ago. Messy divorce, big alimony payments that Aaron couldn't afford. But look at this. The alimony was set to expire next month. Unless Nicole could prove Aaron's income had increased significantly. And if Aaron owned the entire company? His income would increase massively. Nicole could renegotiate the alimony, get millions more. So she had motive to help Aaron get the company. But she was having an affair with David. Was that part of the plan? Probably. Get close to David, learn about the business, gain his trust, then poison him when he was no longer useful. I felt sick. They killed my stepfather for money. Yes, and now we need to prove it. Morrison arrested both Aaron and Nicole the next day. Both immediately lawyered up and denied everything. "The text messages are fake," Aaron's lawyer argued. "Anyone could have created them. You have no physical evidence linking my client to the murder." "What about the forged buy-sell agreement?" I demanded. "That agreement is legitimate. David signed it. You've had experts examine it." "The signature was digitally inserted into a modified document." "Prove it." "You have theories, Ms. Chen, but theories don't win in court." Aaron's lawyer was right. The evidence was circumstantial. The text messages could have been fabricated. The buy-sell agreement had a real signature. The phenylpropanolamine poisoning couldn't be definitively traced to Nicole or Aaron. We had suspicions, but not proof. And then something happened that changed everything. 2 days after the arrest, I got an anonymous email. No sender name, no return address. Just a subject line. "You're looking at the wrong people." The email contained a video file. I almost deleted it as spam, but something made me open it. The video showed Nicole meeting with someone in a parking garage. Not Aaron, a woman I didn't recognize. The audio was clear. Mystery woman. "Did you get the agreement signed?" Nicole. "Aaron signed it. He thinks it's legitimate. He has no idea we modified it." Mystery woman. "And David?" Nicole. "Dead. The phenylpropanolamine worked perfectly. Doctors ruled it natural causes." Mystery woman. "Good. Once the IPO happens, we liquidate everything. Aaron takes the blame. We disappear with the money." Nicole. What about Jade? David's stepdaughter? She's starting to investigate." Mystery woman. "Then we point her at Aaron. Let her think he's the killer. By the time she figures out the truth, we'll be gone." I stared at the screen. Nicole and Aaron weren't working together. Nicole was setting up Aaron. But who was the mystery woman? I enhanced the video, zoomed in on her face, and I recognized her. Rachel Foster, David's executive assistant. She'd worked for him for 10 years, had access to everything. His computer, his calendar, his office, his passwords. She was the one who deleted the security footage. She was the one who'd forged the buy-sell agreement using David's real signature from old documents. She was the one who'd orchestrated everything. But why? I did a deep dive into Rachel's background. On the surface, she seemed normal. Hardworking, loyal, no criminal record. But digging deeper, I found something. Rachel had been engaged to David 20 years ago, before he met my mother. They'd broken up when Rachel wanted to get married and David wasn't ready. David had gone on to build NexTech and marry my mom. Rachel had disappeared for several years, then resurfaced as David's assistant 10 years ago. She'd worked alongside him for a decade, watching him build a fortune, watching him be happy with my mother, watching him have everything she'd once wanted. And she'd decided to take it all. I took the video to Detective Morrison. Rachel Foster is the killer. She's been setting up both Nicole and Aaron to take the fall while she steals the company. How is she planning to steal the company? I pulled up NexTech's shareholder documents. After David died and Aaron claimed the shares through the buy-sell agreement, Rachel convinced Aaron to give her power of attorney to handle administrative tasks. She has legal control of his shares right now. So she poisons David, frames Aaron for the murder, gets control of Aaron's shares through the power of attorney, and then what? Then she liquidates everything, sells the company, takes the money, and disappears. Aaron goes to prison for murder. Nicole goes to prison as an accomplice. And Rachel walks away with billions. We need to stop her before she completes the sale. We need to get her to confess, and I think I know how. I called Rachel and asked to meet. I'm thinking about dropping my claim to the shares, accepting Aaron's offer, but I want to make sure the company will be in good hands. Can we talk? Rachel agreed to meet me at a restaurant in Palo Alto. I wore a wire, with Detective Morrison and his team listening nearby. Rachel looked calm, professional. No hint that she'd murdered my stepfather and framed 2 other people. Jade, I'm glad you're being reasonable about this, Rachel said. David would want the company to succeed. Fighting Aaron in court will only hurt everyone. I've been thinking about what you said, about David's legacy. But Rachel, I need to ask you something. Did you love my stepfather? Rachel's expression flickered. What kind of question is that? I found old photos. You and David, 20 years ago. You were engaged. That was a long time ago. But you came back. You became his assistant. You watched him build this company, watched him be happy with my mother. That must have been hard. I was happy for David. He deserved success. Did he? Because it seems like you think you deserved it more. Rachel's mask cracked. What are you implying? I'm implying you killed him. You poisoned him with phenylpropanolamine, made it look like a natural aneurysm. Then you forged the buy-sell agreement to make it look like Aaron was stealing the company. You even manipulated Nicole into helping, probably convinced her Aaron would pay her off if she helped frame David. Also, you could take control of everything. That's ridiculous. I loved David. You loved what he could give you. And when he chose my mother over you 20 years ago, you decided to take it all anyway. Rachel stood up. This conversation is over. Is it? Because I have video of you and Nicole planning the whole thing. Talking about how you'd frame Aaron, how you'd liquidate the company, how you'd disappear with the money. Rachel went white. You're bluffing. Am I? I pulled out my phone and showed her a still from the video. Rachel and Nicole in the parking garage. Where did you get that? Someone sent it to me. Someone who knew what you did and wanted you caught. Maybe Nicole? Maybe she realized you were going to betray her too? Rachel sat back down slowly. You have no idea what you're dealing with. Then explain it to me. David owed me. We were going to build this company together. He promised me we'd be partners. But then he met your mother and suddenly I wasn't good enough anymore. He chose a secretary over a Stanford graduate with a business degree. So yes, I left, and yes, I came back, because I wanted to see what I could have had, what should have been mine. So you killed him. I freed him from his mediocre life. David was brilliant, but your mother held him back. She didn't understand his vision. I understood. I could have helped him build something even greater, but he was too blind to see it. And the buy-sell agreement? I forged it. David's signature was easy. I'd been signing documents for him for years. I knew his handwriting better than he did. I created a contract that would give Aaron the shares for pennies. Then I'd convince Aaron to let me handle the sale. Once I had control, I'd liquidate everything, take my share, and disappear. Aaron would go to prison for murder. Nicole would go to prison as an accomplice. And I'd finally get what David owed me. You're insane. I'm owed. There's a difference. Detective Morrison and his team walked into the restaurant. Rachel Foster, you're under arrest for the murder of David Reeves and conspiracy to commit fraud. Rachel didn't resist. She just smiled. You'll never prove it. It's my word against a dead man's. Actually, we have your confession, recorded, and we have the video of you and Nicole, and we have forensic evidence from David's office showing you were on his computer the day the security footage was deleted. Rachel's smile faded. Game over, I said. Rachel Foster was charged with first-degree murder, fraud, conspiracy, and a dozen other crimes. The prosecutor called it one of the most elaborate corporate murder schemes he'd ever seen. Nicole cut a deal, testimony against Rachel in exchange for reduced charges. She got 10 years for being an accessory after the fact and conspiracy. Aaron was released from custody, all charges dropped. The real buy-sell agreement, the one from 2 years ago without the modifications, was located in David's safety deposit box. It had a reasonable valuation formula that would give me and my mother the fair value of David's shares. Aaron and I met at a coffee shop a week after Rachel's arrest. "I'm sorry," Aaron said, "for everything. For trying to take advantage of the forged agreement. For not figuring out what Rachel was doing sooner. For..." "Aaron, stop. You were a victim too. Rachel manipulated all of us." "But I should have known. David was my best friend. I should have realized something was wrong. Rachel was good at what she did. She fooled everyone for 10 years. Aaron was quiet for a moment. "What happens now? With the shares?" "We honor David's wishes. My mother and I inherit his 50%. You keep your 50%. We go forward with the IPO as equal partners. You trust me after everything?" "David trusted you for 15 years. That's good enough for me. Besides, you tried to protect him. You showed me that video of Nicole even though it made you look guilty. You could have destroyed that evidence, but you didn't. That tells me who you really are." Aaron looked relieved. "Thank you, Jade. I won't let you down." "I know, because we're partners now. And partners don't let each other down." 6 weeks later, NexTech went public as scheduled. The IPO was a massive success. The company was valued at $12 billion, even higher than initial projections. My mother and I owned $3 billion in shares. Aaron owned the other $3 billion. We both stayed on the board, working together to guide the company David had built. At the IPO ceremony on the NASDAQ floor, Aaron and I stood together as the opening bell rang. "David should be here," Aaron said quietly. "He is, in everything we built, in every decision we make, in the values he taught us. He'd be proud of you especially. You uncovered a murderer, saved the company, and kept his legacy alive. We did it together. That's what partners do." The bell rang. Traders cheered. Screens showed NexTech's stock price climbing. Later that evening, my mother and I visited David's grave. We brought flowers and a printout of the day's stock prices. "We did it, David," Mom said, placing the flowers by his headstone. "The IPO happened. The company is thriving. Your legacy lives on." "And we caught your killer," I added. "Rachel's in prison. She'll never hurt anyone again." We stood there in silence, remembering. "Do you think he knew?" Mom asked. "About Rachel being obsessed with him?" "I don't know, but I think he kept her around because he felt guilty about how their relationship ended. He wanted to give her a second chance. And she repaid him by killing him. Some people can't be saved. Rachel was broken long before she came back into David's life. This was always going to end badly." Mom squeezed my hand. "But something good came out of it. You and Aaron have built something real, a true partnership. David would love that. He would. And Mom, I'm going to use some of my shares to start a foundation. The David Reeves Foundation for Tech Entrepreneurs. Help people like David who have brilliant ideas but need support to build them." "That's beautiful, sweetheart. He'd be so proud." 3 months later, I stood in front of a room full of young tech entrepreneurs at the foundation's first event. "My stepfather, David Reeves, believed that great ideas could change the world," I said. "But he also believed that no one succeeds alone. He built NexTech with a partner. He built his family with my mother. He built his success by helping others succeed. This foundation is about continuing that legacy. We're here to help you build your dreams, to connect you with mentors, provide funding, offer resources, because that's what David would have done." After the presentation, Aaron approached me. "Great speech. David would have loved it. Think we can really make a difference?" "I think we already have. This room is full of people who might build the next NexTech, and we're giving them the tools to do it." "Partners?" Aaron smiled. "Partners." We shook hands, sealing a partnership built on trust, forged through tragedy, and dedicated to honoring the man who'd brought us together. That night, I sat in my apartment looking at a photo of David. It was from my college graduation, him standing next to me, his arm around my shoulders, both of us smiling. "Thank you," I said to the photo. For being my stepfather. For teaching me about integrity and partnership. For showing me that family isn't just about blood, it's about who stands beside you when everything falls apart. And thank you for building something worth fighting for. NexTech isn't just a company, it's your legacy. And Aaron and I are going to make sure it's a legacy that helps people, that changes lives, that makes the world better. Rachel tried to destroy that. She tried to steal everything you built, but she failed, because you taught us to be better than her. To choose partnership over betrayal, to choose truth over lies, to choose building over destroying. We'll keep building, David, in your name, in your honor. For everyone who believes like you did, that technology can make the world better. I set the photo on my desk, next to a framed newspaper clipping from the IPO and a photo of me and Aaron at the foundation launch. 3 images, 3 parts of David's legacy. A man who'd built a company, a partnership that survived betrayal, and a foundation that would help others build their dreams. That was worth more than $12 billion. That was priceless. This is Jade Chen, reminding you that the people closest to you aren't always the most dangerous. Sometimes the real threat is someone you never suspected. Someone who's been hiding in plain sight for years, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. My stepfather's business partner looked guilty. He had motive, opportunity, and everything to gain. But he was actually a victim, just like me. The real killer was the executive assistant, the person David trusted most, the person who had access to everything, the person whose broken heart turned into murderous rage. If this story resonated with you, like and subscribe for more stories about corporate murder, unexpected villains, and partnerships forged through tragedy. Leave a comment. Have you ever been wrong about who the villain was? Have you ever had to work with someone you initially suspected? How did it turn out? Remember, not everything is as it seems. The obvious suspect isn't always guilty. And sometimes the person trying to help you is the only ally you have. Thanks for watching. And thank you, David, wherever you are. You taught me that partnerships are built on trust. I'll spend the rest of my life proving I was worthy of yours.